Hi guys, welcome back to Planet Moonshine, the channel where we use home distilling techniques in a professional microbrewery. And what are we doing today? Well, we're going to be distilling this. All right, so stick around if that floats your boat, and I'll see you in just a tick. A friend of mine went into a local bodega. It sounds like the beginning of a really bad joke. Yeah, like two drums and a cymbal walked into a bar. Ba-dum-ching! Yeah, okay, I won't give up the day job. Yeah, a friend of mine went into a local bodega. A bodega is like a wine shop. And one of the things that they do is they have big barrels of wine in there, which they can then fill plastic containers like this, and you can take it home and drink effectively from the barrel. He's done this before and he's always had good success, but this time he got these 3 litres home and he didn't like it. And he gave them to me, not because that's the kind of friend he thinks I am who'll drink absolutely anything, but because he knows I might be able to do something fun with it. I tried this wine myself, and I also came to the conclusion that, well, it's not awful, but at the same time, living in Spain, there's better things to drink. Yeah, it's not an awful wine, it's not bad at all. It's quite dry, it's quite fruity. But it's quite oxidized, and the flavor is almost like a port wine. I don't know if any of you guys have tried a ruby port, which is the cheapest port you can buy. The flavor is like that. It's quite rich and deep and fruity. But the wine itself is quite thin. There's no sweetness to it like there would be in a port. It's quite dry. My guess is this is the end of the barrel, and the wine just got a little bit more oxidized than it would normally be. So what we're going to do with it? We're going to distill it, of course. I could actually drink that, but I'd rather not. Okay, so, yeah, it does mean I'm the kind of guy who'll drink anything, doesn't it? Anyway, I had an idea. I'm going to put it through this alembic still. And this alembic still has a gin basket here in this section. And what I thought was, if you use good wine, then you'll get a good distillate. And that distillate is likely to be some kind of a brandy, but like we just said, this isn't good wine, this is just cheap wine. And because the distillate that comes out is going to be some kind of brandy, I thought maybe we could jazz it up a little bit by adding some fruit. Now, those of you who've been following the channel closely might have seen a little video short I put out a couple of weeks ago saying, what fruit should I put in the still with this wine? I got a few good answers. Unfortunately, some of the suggestions are kind of difficult to get your hands on that fruit at this time of year. Plums, for example, were suggested by a couple of guys. Trouble with plums is they're out of season now, and the Spanish don't pay to import plums from anywhere else in the world because they grow here in Spain. They just, if it's out of season, they'll just eat a different fruit that is in season. Pears was another suggestion. Cherries was another suggestion. Pomegranates was another suggestion, but I've run out of them. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these cherries, which are bottled cocktail cherries. Why? Because cherries are out of season. And this pear. And we're going to chop them up and throw them in the gin basket. And I'll come back to you, I guess, when the still's getting ready to go. All right, Catch you in a minute. Okay, well, still's more or less set up, so we can prepare the fruit, which is going to be pretty simple, really. We're just going to slice it. And dice it. The idea is, I guess, to just maximize the surface area in contact with the vapor. Without being too precious about really anything else. And the cherries, well, your guess is as good as mine with the cherries. They've been pitted, so I think we're just going to drop them in one by one. I'm going to drain these and I'll see you at the still. Okay guys, so the still's set up, the heat's on. We filled up to about here with our wine, and the rest is pears and cocktail cherries. This is just some fairly thick flour and water paste, and we just use it to seal this still up because, well, it doesn't have any seals. So it really is just a case of mixing up a fairly thick paste of flour and water and then just running it into all the joints with your finger to make a seal. And once you've got a good seal, this flour and water paste, the heat will just set it like a pastry, I guess. And once that has taken place, we won't be losing any vapors. But you've got to be quite careful after that not to disturb it, because if you knock the still and it moves, it can crack the seal that you're making with this flour and water paste. So it's all right while it's going off, doesn't really matter, but once it's gone, we've got to be really careful not to have any clumsy accidents bumping into the thing. And I've got a few of these to do, so I'm just going to get on with that because there's a few seals on this and they all need to be done. So this stuff's relatively easy to get off again. As I said, it just pretty much dries solid like a pastry all the way around the edge. If you don't see any air bubbles, then there's a good chance you've done a good job and it's not leaking. That leaves me with one more to do. Which is this one. So this will be the first time I've used this still with its gin basket in place. Normally, when I'm using this still, I haven't got the gin basket in place because I'm just using it like a pot still. So, I'm just going to check that all the way around, but it looks good for now. Yeah. So that's it done. So yeah, when this is all taken apart for cleaning, it'll literally just come off under some hot water and you can start again. After having made this mistake once in the past, I was throwing away my flour and water paste and then I accidentally kicked the trolley, everything moved, it cracked open again, and I had to rush and make some more, and all the while I was losing vapor, so not good. Okay, so I'm going to come back to this once we're on the boil. In the meantime, I've got to prepare some jars. So I just thought you guys might like to see the cooling water setup that we've got here. I soldered those two little pipes onto that condenser section and connected a tap and some tubes, which basically the tubes go to drain and the tap comes from the wall. So that's just going to keep the water exchanging, which is going to help our condensate stay cool. And these are the seals that were made on the still. To give us an operational system. Okay, so at the moment the still hasn't started producing yet. We've got the heater plate on full power, and as soon as we get first drips, we'll turn that down. My plan is to discard the first, I don't know, 10-15 mils that come off as 4 shots, and collect everything else until it starts to get tailsy, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. Okay, so first drips have just started coming off the still, and as I say, we're going to stop at about 15 mils, chuck it, swap out the jar, and then we'll see what we get. I'm just going to turn the heat down now. So we've just collected our first jar. We've got about 50 mils in this jar. Just swap this out. Oop, get under there. Okay, so we've got, yeah, 50 mils of an incredibly cherry smelling brandy. Slightly cloudy. Second jar seems to be coming off clearer. I've experienced that before with this still. The first jar seems to come off a little cloudy. After that it clears up, and once you start getting down to tails it starts to get cloudy again. So this is coming off, according to my trusty alcohol meter, over 80 ABV. So we're not going to be able to collect much. The alcohol calculator suggests I might get 170 mils at that ABV before I hit the tails. The other issue is I don't really know the starting strength of the wine. I've guessed it at about 13% ABV, but that's just a guess. Yeah, we're just sort of like swimming in the dark, and we'll see where we end up. Okay guys, so the third little jars come off the still. I'm collecting 50 mils in each of these. I've got 150 mils of a slightly cloudy distillate in here. That cloudiness is from that first jar. The other jars are coming off pretty clear, even right now. We've got about 10 more mils off. According to my calculator, if my guesses are right about the amount of alcohol in the wine to start with, then we should be nearing the end of the Hearts collection. I might get 20 mils, I might get less, I might get more, but the time has come to start sticking my finger in I'm tasting it. Okay, so the alcohol content's come down quite a bit, but we're still not what I would call tailsy. So I'm going to stick at it a wee bit longer. All right, that's it. All right, so it's moment of truth, I guess. We've got just over 200 mils of a slightly cloudy distillate. We've got some more of what I would class as tails right there. And we've got a couple of glasses. We've got some water. We've used about half of this original wine. And first off, what I want to do is just find out what we've got. So if we just take a little bit of this, stick it on the old alcohol meter. Okay. So that reveals we've got a distillate at a fraction over 60% ABV. So now what we need to do is proof that down, and I want to do that in two ways. I want to try proofing it down with some water and seeing what we've got, and I'm going to try proofing it down with a little bit of the original wine and seeing what we've got. Okay, so according to my calculations, if I start off with 2 mils of spirit, and I add to that about 1.5 mils of water, which is that, then I should have about 38% ABV. Now, I know I've been very cruel to this. I've just literally added water and I'm going to taste it. Okay, so you get a very strong hit of maraschino cherries. The alcohol is there, very warm, and you do get some pears. But mostly it's a cherry fest. So we're just going to repeat that little experiment, but this time we're going to proof it down with some wine. So this is going to be quite interesting to proof it down with wine. I put a little bit more in, so I've got 2 mils of each in here. That It's pretty awesome. Very much so. Very strong cherries. Ripe fruit, pears are there too, but in the background. The flavour of the original wine has been improved significantly by the alcohol. So I think what I'm going to do with this is what I've got left here. I'm just going to proof it down with some more wine, and that's going to be it for this video. So if you've enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. Yeah, subscribe if you want to see more of this stuff. Ring the bell, you'll get told when the next video is coming out. If you want to support the channel in other ways, that would be great. I have a Patreon page. If Patreon's right for you, there'll be a link in the video description. Pop on over there and see if you want to help me out that way, which would, you know, really help me keep doing all these fun things I do for you guys. All right, cheers. Okay, so here we go with the mixing. Let's see. This measured out nicely. Yeah, 200 mils. It's pretty much what I thought it would be. This, we're going to top it up to 400 mils. Just like that. And now we have our final product. Yay! Let's have a little drink. Yeah, like that. Now to bottle it.